Hello everyone, this is Richard Devera, and our topic today is about the Mendelian and non-Mendelian. Long ago, there is an Austrian monastery. There lived a monk named Gregor Mendel. Monks have a lot of time on their hands, and Mendel spent his time crossing pea plants, as he did this over and over and over and over again. This makes Gregor Mendel is a patient scientist. Now notice in that very brief description of his work that the words chromosomes or genes are nowhere to be found. That is because the role of these things in relation to inheritance and heredity had not been discovered yet. What makes Mendel's contributions so impressive is that he described the basic patterns of inheritance before the mechanism for inheritance, namely genes, was even discovered. In 1865, Mendel presented the result of his experiments with nearly 30,000 pea plants to the local Natural History Society. That is a lot of pea. Based on the patterns he observed, counting data he collected, and a mathematical analysis of his result, Mendel proposed a model of inheritance in which that makes Mendel a mathematician. Characteristics such as flower, color, plant height, and seed shape were controlled by pairs of heritable factors that came in different versions. One version of factor, the dominant form, could mask the presence of another version, the recessive form. The two paired factors separated during gamete production, such as each gamete, sperm or egg, randomly received just one factor. And there is a law of Mendel's law are the law of dominance, the second is the law of segregation, and the third one is the law of independent assortment. In the law of dominance, in a cross of parents that are pure for contrasting traits, only one form of the trait will appear in the next generation. Offspring that are hybrid for a trait will have only the dominant trait in the phenotype. As you call the law of dominance, the dominance is the one will appear in the crossing over. While Mendel was crossing his pea plants over and over again, he noticed something interesting. When he crossed pure tall plants with pure short plants, all the new plants referred to as the F1 generation were tall. This is the law of dominance. Now in our modern wisdom, we use allele or gene instead of what Mendel called factors. There is a gene in the DNA of pea plants that controls plant height, makes them either tall or short. One form of the genes codes for tall, and the other allele for plant height codes for short. The Punnett square. This is what we use when illustrating the process Mendel did, and will assist you in figuring out a multitude of genetics problems. And the second one of law of Mendel's is the law of segregation. According to the law of segregation, only one of the two gene copies present in an organism is distributed to each gamete, egg or sperm cell that it makes, and the location of the gene copies is random. When an egg and a sperm join in fertilization, they form a new organism whose genotype consists of the alleles contained in the gametes. The test cross. This is also make Mendel's intelligent and smart, because he determined what will be the result. Is either a heterozygote or a homozygote. Even one of them is not present. This is he called this cross, and this technique is still used by plant and animals breeders today. And the third one is the law of independent assortment. The independent assortment states that the alleles of two or more different genes get sorted into gametes independently of one another. In other words, the allele a gamete receives for one gene does not influence the allele received for another gene. The reason for independent assortment. To see why independent assortment happens, we need to fast forward half a century and discover that genes are physically located on chromosome. To be exact, the two copies of a gene carried by an organism such as capital Y in a small y allele are located at the same spot on the two chromosomes of a homologous pair. Homologous chromosomes are similar but non-identical. In an organism gets one member of the pair from each of its two parents. Now we go to the non-Mendelian inheritance. In Mendelian inheritance, patterns involve genes that directly influence the outcome of an organism's traits and obey Mendel's law. Non-Mendelian inheritance is a general term that refers to any pattern of inheritance in which traits do not segregate in accordance with Mendel's law. This law describes the inheritance of traits linked to single genes on chromosome in the nucleus. Under law of non-Mendelian inheritance, the first law is the codominance. Codominance is believed to be a violation of the law of dominance. When the alleles for a particular trait are codominant, they are both expressed equally rather than a dominant allele taking complete over a recessive allele. This means that when an organism has two different alleles, it will express both at the same time. Example of this is the speckled flowers, where the plant breeder has bred two different colors of flower. And the second one is the incomplete dominance. Sometimes in a heterozygote, dominant allele does not completely match the phenotypic expression of the recessive allele, and there occurs an intermediate phenotype in the heterozygote. This is called incomplete dominance. With codominant alleles, both traits are expressed at the same time. With incomplete dominance, the same thing occurs, but the traits are blended together or mixed together, rather than occurring in discrete patches. It thus refers to the condition in an heterozygote where the phenotype is intermediate between the two homozygotes. For example of this is some plants the cross of red and white produces pink flower. And the polygenic inheritance. Some traits are controlled by many genes such as the height, IQ, skin color, eye color, etc. Polygenic inheritance occurs when one characteristic is controlled by two or more genes. Often the genes are large in quantity but small in effect. Example of this is skin color in man. Davenport in Jamaica found the two pairs of genes, capital E and small e, and capital B, small b, cause the difference in skin. Other example of this is the pigmentation between Negro and Caucasian people. These genes were found to affect the character in addition fashion. Thus, a true Negro has four dominant genes of capital letter E and capital letter B, and a white has four recessive genes, small letter E and small letter B. And their offsprings, when they mate together, the result, the color term is mulatto. But when mating the two mulattoes, their offsprings ranging from skin as the original Negro parent to as white as the original white parent. The original color of their parent is come out when the mulattoes meet together. Multiple alleles. Mendel studied just two alleles of repeat genes, but real population often have multiple alleles of a given gene. Pleiotropy. Some genes affect many different characteristics, not just a single characteristic. Example of this is Marfan syndrome, which result in several symptoms, usually tall height, thin fingers and toes, lens dislocation, and heart problems. These symptoms, although not seen to be directly related, can be traced back to the mutation of a single gene. Gene linkage. Each chromosome contains more than one gene. If the genes are situated in the same chromosome and are fairly close to each other, they tend to be inherited together. For example, some combination of wing shape and body color are inherited together. Fruit flies that have brown bodies are more likely to the normal wings, while fruit flies that have black bodies are more likely to have vestigial wings. This is linkage. Extranuclear inheritance. Through the genes of nuclear chromosome have significant and key role in the inheritance of almost all traits from generation to generation. They altogether cannot be considered as the sole vehicles of inheritance. An example of this is the mitochondrial DNA is passed down from a mother to her offspring because the mitochondria and sperm cells don't make it into the egg. Thus, the entire mitochondrial DNA in the offspring, whether male or female, originally comes from the mother parents only. And that's it, everyone. That is our topic about the Mendelian and non-Mendelian inheritance. Thank you for listening, and I hope you get something about our topic or learn something about our topic. Thank you very much, and God bless.